Hi, I'm Randy Hollenbeck, and this is the Music Roundtable. Today on the show, we have Cody Hughes from the rock band Fight Like Sin.
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Can you tell us how you started playing guitar, what age, and what got you into it?
Yeah, how I started playing guitar is kind of a funny story, I guess. When I was 13 years old, I fell off the back of my dad's pickup truck. We were, tailgating around town as young boys do, and we hit a bump in the road. I fell off, hit my head, concussion, skull fracture, and ended up in the hospital and basically couldn't do anything that entire summer. So the doctor recommended that I pick up an instrument to, make sure that I still had hand-eye coordination. And I was like, Mom, do I have an instrument that I could play? And she was like, well, 3 of your uncles play guitar, so I'm sure one of them will be willing to give you, an instrument for a little while. And I could just play. Like it wasn't great, but like I just had a feel for what to do. And yeah, I spent that whole summer like listening to I think it was the Green Day Dookie album. I just kind of learned it all by ear and tried to, improve on it, and that just kind of became my thing.
So you really didn't take any lessons or anything like that?
I've never had a guitar lesson. No, just a lot of like Metallica tab books. That's pretty much like how I learned.
What was the first song you learned? Do you remember?
First song I ever learned was just by ear, and it was "Smoke on the Water." Stereotypical first guitarist, first song for a guitarist to learn. But that is the truth of it. And then, yeah, I think I tried to play like Crazy Train after that, but it didn't go as well. Couldn't quite get that Randy Rhoads solo.
Who would you say your influences are as far as a guitarist?
Well, I'm wearing a Sevendust t-shirt right now, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that Clint Lowry was one of the guys that I really looked up to when I was a kid. James Hetfield, Kirk Hammett. I mean, I looked up to those guys when I was starting to play, and even guys that like didn't necessarily like love the band, but like I grew up. I was born in '85, so when I was hitting my angsty teen years, that was like the dawn of new metal. So even though a lot of people would be like embarrassed to say it right now, I listened to like Limp Bizkit because I was a big fan of Wes Borland and what he did with guitar. I just liked him because he really like he thinks outside the box. He doesn't write like every other guitar player writes. Um, but yeah, those are just a few of my influences that kind of shaped what we do in the band.
How did you form the band Fight Like Sin? Did you have to put out like ads or anything, or did you know people and they've joined the band?
Didn't have to put out any ads. So Fight Like Sin was basically the drummer and I, Tim Stepp. We had played in a band in high school together when I was just a wee lad. We were playing when I was like 15 and he was 18, I think, at the time. And then that I went off to college, and eventually that band kind of broke up, and I joined another band. That band broke up, and then I was finding myself back in the same town as Tim, and I was like, "Hey, man, you want to join up and play again?" Because like he was always one of the, I mean, he's one of my great friends, but he's always one of the best drummers that I had played with. Don't tell him I said that. But Yeah, so we started Fight Like Sin in I think it was 2012 or 2000, yeah, around then, and started writing. Released our first EP in 2013. But yeah, it was kind of uh, it was a mix of people that we had known through the music community, and then we've had turnover since then. Tim and I are still the only original members.
What have you done over the past year with the lockdown? Have you been able to play out, or what have you done, like record or anything like that?
We have done some recording, but prior to the lockdown, we were working on releasing an EP called Cicada, which is sort of an acoustic reimagining of songs that we had released in the past. Um, and then once that was done, it was full shutdown. We weren't able to play shows or anything like that. And we're actually getting ready to play our first show since January 2020 on Saturday. So that should be fun. Looking forward to getting back out there again. But yeah, we have done some recording. We've got a couple songs that we've been working on. We co-wrote a song with Morgan from Sevendust, and that should be hopefully coming out in the next, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 months if I have it my way, but we'll see.
And that will be your first new song for 2021.
Yeah, that'll be well, I don't know if that'll be the first new song, but there will be new songs in 2021 for sure. Hopefully within the next few months.
What's the name of the song that Morgan co-wrote with you? Do you know the name of it?
Unless something drastic happens, the song would be called "Before My Eyes."
With you releasing this acoustic album, how was the fans' reaction to that compared to your other stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it is different. I mean, they expect a certain style from us, but I mean, I think people are very used to bands doing acoustic versions or lo-fi versions of their songs anyway. And I think most people, even though it wasn't like the standard rock stuff that we put out, they still had an appreciation for the more relaxed version. Because we wanted it to be very stripped down, because there's a lot of elements in the songs that you don't hear because it's so studio produced and stuff. You just don't hear a lot of the intricate melodies or harmonies or whatever, and we wanted to sort of highlight those things, because we're like, man, that guitar part is really cool, but like you never get to hear it because it's like buried way down in the mix and stuff. So we would turn guitar parts into piano parts and stuff like that. It was really fun to do. But overall, I think our crowd really liked it, and they've asked for other songs to be remade in the same fashion. So who knows? Maybe there will be a Cicada Part 2.
No Ghost song. There is a piano part in there towards the end. That was made from guitar in the piano, that part.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it opens it up more, the songs, when you do it like that.
for sure. I mean, we've always been a fan of adding, random parts here and there in our regular songs. Like we've got piano tracks and synth tracks all over the place in our regular music, but you do have a lot more space and freedom when you strip it all away and don't have to worry about having a certain sound. You just you just let it be what it is. So I like that aspect of it.
And a lot of times, some of the songs turn out better than the originals, I find out.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I love the song "In the Dark." It's one of my favorite songs that we've done, and as much as I love the original one, like I love the acoustic version even more. But I that's always sort of a principle that I've tried to hold on to, is that anything that you write that is going to be a heavy rock song, to write a good song, I think it has to be able to survive like an acoustic version of it to be truly good, or else you've got too much stuff put on top of it, and you need to rethink your approach. So I'm happy to say that I think most or all of our songs could be a decent acoustic song if they had to be. That's usually my test of a guitar riff. I'll play it on acoustic guitar and see if it sounds decent.
There's no light, Nothing left to fear. Out of sight, pictures of you so unclear. You tried taking your time behind enemy lines. You lied one too many times. I'm done listening. Redefine all that I know. There's no ghost to say I'm sorry for. Now I'm finding myself without you. There's no ghost to haunt me anymore.
Now, is that how you guys usually write? Do you start out on acoustic and or do you come up with music and then add words later?
Yeah, that's not always how it starts off. Although a lot of our downtime usually comes when we're, like at home, away from the band room, and somebody might have an acoustic guitar on them, and they'll start messing around with a little riff or whatever, and then bring it to practice. But I mean, almost all of Identity was written in the studio, and it was kind of a effort between all of us in the band, and even our producer got in on the writing process there. So um, we just we like being in that environment and bouncing ideas off each other.
I noticed on the song Demons, there's a really cool guitar hook right before the chorus comes in. Um, I think that brings out the song even much more when something like that happens, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I always people give me a lot of grief for it, but there's always the battle of like, okay, so what's the hook? Like I'm a big fan of hooks. Like as I mentioned, I'm an '80s baby, so like a lot of the music that I grew up on was kind of like that Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, Poison, Cinderella, Dokken, all those like '80s hair metal bands, and they all had these great hooks in their choruses. Like you knew the riff, you knew a vocal hook, you knew something about the song. If someone asked you like, can you name this song, you could be like, yeah, yeah, and you start humming either a guitar part or a vocal part. So it's got to have a distinct hook for it, and Demons was one of those songs where like I think it has a vocal hook and a guitar hook all happening at the same time in the chorus, which it has made it one of our more popular songs, I would say. I think it's the second most popular song we have.
What are you currently listening to as far as new music? Is there any new music out there we need to know about?
I don't know if I'm like in any sort of like exclusive club where I'm the only one who knows about new music being put out, but like I tend to be a little bit late to the party, honestly. But the only band that I feel like I was early to was Beartooth. I was listening to those guys for a while. I had followed Attack Attack for a long time. Caleb Shomo is an amazing, not only just vocalist, but like just a musician altogether. Um, and yeah, I've been a fan of those guys since they released their first album, and now they're like one of the biggest bands out there. Um, but yeah, I dig those guys. I don't know. They're honestly the music that I've been listening to recently is either not like straight up rock, or it's just our own stuff like that I'm just critiquing for trying to get it released. Um, but yeah, I try not to listen to too much of our own genre, simply because I don't want to subconsciously try to sound like everyone else, if that makes sense. Um, and it's just well, for one, I don't want to get burnt out on the genre, because sometimes when you put on Spotify and you just let a metal playlist roll, it does start to sound just like one big song. So um, like for instance, I really like what Bring Me the Horizon has done. Those guys have reinvented themselves like four times already, and it's incredible how they do it. So that is one band where like if whenever they put something new out, I'm going to listen to it, because it's going to be probably very different from the last album they released. So yeah, those are a couple of examples of guys that I listen to.
What state are you guys based out of?
Indiana.
Do you got any dates lined up for shows coming up in the future?
Yep, this Saturday, our first one in 2021, and yeah, it'll be in Lafayette, Indiana. So that'll be fun.
And then there's nothing else after that.
I don't have anything else at the moment that's confirmed. Everything right now is kind of speculation. They're sort of holding dates because they don't know exactly like if stuff is going to fully reopen or what the case might be. So yeah, that's the only one we have like on the books. We're definitely playing it.
I'm in Pittsburgh, and it seems like every day there's a new tour being booked. I mean, it's wide open out over here.
I do agree that it seems like shows are coming back. I just think that there are some people, especially like smaller businesses, that are maybe being a little more cautious about the whole like Delta variant that's going around, and they don't want to be the reason that, you know, sparks a new outbreak or whatever. But yeah, I agree. Here in Indiana, they're starting to be more relaxed when it comes to shows as well. And I think we are pretty much back at full capacity as far as I know for shows. But yeah, I think it's partially reopening, and it's partially that we're just trying to focus on getting new music released in 2021 to go and play shows for, if that makes sense.
And where can we reach you guys at? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, we're all over the place, man. If you go to fightlikesyn.com, we've got links on our website. If you there's I think it's ffm.bio/fightlikesyn. That'll give you links to everything. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Apple Music, or whatever it is now. And then yes, Twitter, Facebook, all those places. We're everywhere.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we go here?
I guess I just want to say that you know, I want to thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It's been a while since I've really gotten to do any sort of like interviews or you know, talk about the band because we've been so dormant for the past year. So it's exciting to get back out there, and I'm excited to be talking with you right now. I'm excited to play this show next week, or this weekend rather, and I'm looking forward to putting some new music out in 2021.